book is the story of one child's psychological development, and that child is my daughter. And I tell the story of her mental development from just before birth to sometime around age 3. And I'm deliberately vague about times, for reasons which I might explain later. So the book unfolds roughly chronologically. It starts before birth and it finishes when she's 3. So the bit I'm going to read, she's actually 14 months. Each peach, pear, plum, I spy bear. It is early morning, and everyone in this Cretan village is asleep. We have escaped for an early autumn getaway, still clinging to the pre-parental privilege of taking holidays outside school holidays. It is my shift for looking after her. To avoid disturbing Lizzie, we have undone the shutters and come out onto the balcony in our nightclothes. A whitewashed parapet shelters us from the breeze that is scouring the sea in the bay below. Is that a bear? I say. It looks like a bunny rabbit to me. She picks at the image with an index finger. A few weeks ago I would have left the mistake uncorrected, but at 14 months she is using the label confidently, if a little too promiscuously. In her struggle to match our grown-up words to her small-scale experience, the odd bit of corrective feedback can't do any harm. Athena, you find the bear. She turns the pages, flicking through the board book with slightly cross-eyed concentration. She finds the picture she wants, the 3 bears from the Goldilocks story, setting out on a hunting adventure, and says the word again, bear. Where previously the contents of her consciousness dissolved as soon as their objects slipped from view, she can now hang on to them in their absence. Her memory has improved, but so have her techniques for encoding information. The labels that language gives her are fixation points upon which the objects of perception can be anchored in her mind. In this simple game we are playing, she can hold on to the label I have given her and use it to direct her search, even before the object of that search becomes visible. Objects are permanent for her now, and they retain some represented existence, even when they are not physically present. Her mind is a mirror held up to the world, rather than a sand blotter that absorbs everything obliviously. She can now act on the idea of a thing, rather than the thing itself. Bear, she says, pointing to another bunny rabbit. This error in applying the word is not a confusion between objects, so much as a failure to draw the boundaries of the word in the right place. In her eagerness to apply the new labels she has acquired, Athena overextends. She stretches them to cover too broad a class of objects. She sees bears everywhere, in the animals of her toy farm, in her Dorling Kindersley first words book, even in her mother's face. When she pointed to Lizzie and anointed her with her favourite label, bear, both seemed to appreciate the humour. It may or may not have been an intentional joke. It was certainly taken as one, which meets half of the challenge of joke-making. But it was a natural extension of her scattergun bear spotting. The fact is there are a lot of bears around, in her board books, on her Chinese-made pyjamas, in her spinning-top merry-go-round. Some might wonder why children's environments are so repetitive, the same bright colours, the same farmyard and savannah wildlife. But when you are learning to apply labels to objects, it helps if those objects recur with some regularity. Precisely which objects we choose to furnish a child's world with is probably not important. The repetitiveness undoubtedly is. Now, can you find the road? I hold the book open for her, expecting her to point to the road in the frontispiece picture, which is where we always start our joint sessions with this Janet and Alan Alberg classic. Instead, she raises her hand and points to the road below our rented apartment. The road in each peach, pear, plum is the same kind of thing as the road below our balcony. If you have a word and use it correctly, you get something for free, a concept. Care, ditch! Is that right? These are words I can't interpret, and I probably don't hide the fact too well. My platitudes only frustrate her more. She pushes the book out of the way and tries to raise herself with little puffy grunts of protest. She wants something that isn't immediately gettable. This is a breakthrough of a sort. It is an idea that is upsetting her, not the thing itself. It is striking how determined she is to use language, even when other ways of satisfying her desires would be much simpler. We see her struggling to ask for something when she could just as easily go over and grab it. This is one of the few areas in our lives where we humans quite happily take the path of most resistance. Go on, you show me. She pushes up from my lap and takes a few unsteady steps. This vertiginous balancing act is another thing she has been compelled to do when other options, like crawling or bum shuffling, were undoubtedly easier. She's been walking now for a couple of months, but Crete has been a breakthrough. All those whitewashed steps in hilly villages for her to goose-step up and down endlessly. After 1 week here, we all have the leg muscles of fell runners. Care! Ditch! She says again. I watch her toddle over to the clothes horse where our towels are drying. She's wearing her short pink pyjamas with the rocking horses on, and her feet are bare. The Cretan sun has turned her skin faintly gold, her hair almost invisibly white. Walking is still new, but her other bodily movements are strong, quick and subtle. Those anxious joyrides, careering around at the helm of her own body, are a thing of the past. She is in control of this machine now. Ha! She says in what sounds like triumphant dismissal. We've only been able to bring a few toys with us, but we managed to find space for 2 of the cars from her Happy Streets toy town. She bends at the knees to pick up the red one, and straightens herself in one smooth movement. Car, she says. That's right, now can you find me the blue car? Boom, she repeats, storing the idea. She drops the red car with a clatter and makes a quarter turn on a wobbly heel. She finds the blue car and clasps it to her mouth. She looks at me, checking my reaction. As well as giving her a new way of thinking about what she is chewing, language has broadened the range of things she can do socially. I'm not sure that she has accurately recognised the colour. Red and blue are, after all, the only colours on offer. But the word, self-expressed, seems to have given her some extra grasp on what she has to do. Can you find me something else that's blue? She gazes around, slightly forlorn. This is more difficult. I'm asking her to forget about how the label relates to an object, and think instead how it relates to an attribute of the object. I'm always struck by how hopeless toddlers are at colours. For a philosopher, the experience of redness or any other vivid perceptual quality is supposed to be the overwhelming, undeniable fact that makes the subjectivity of consciousness so tricky to explain. It is because it is subjective that it is so hard to formulate in words. You can't describe redness, or daylight, or the smell of freshly stirred paint. You can only know it, or not. Perhaps the colour strikes her with all of that subjective immediacy, but pinning a word to it is just too difficult. Look, Athena, there's your friend. Her name is Anna, and she lives in the apartment across from ours. She is German and about a year older than Athena. Last night in the taverna, she and Athena did a bit of cagey toddler socialising around Count with Maisie, Athena's colours and counting board book. Then the cats came, and Athena screamed and had to be picked up. She is wary of Anna because she is strange and big, and doesn't know the same words that Athena knows, but also because she is associated with those scourges of the taverna, those shadowy creatures that come out of the night and curl around your legs without warning. At this age, Athena's fearfulness is extravagant. She's afraid of vacuum cleaners, hairdryers, and all their noisy machine cousins. She's afraid of most things that move. Dogs, blue bottles, even fast-moving clouds can set her off whimpering. It makes navigating the world a fraught experience sometimes, but it shouldn't surprise us. She's trying to learn how to predict how things will behave, and these things break all the rules. Come in, Anna, I say, beckoning her over. The little German girl takes a tentative step onto our balcony. Athena, do you want to show Anna your car? Athena stands up and faces her visitor, still apprehensive. I encourage her. Go on, don't be afraid. She holds the car out with one arm outstretched, as though feeding a crocodile. Her bright new teeth, 4 on top, 2 below, are gritted in an underbite grin. Her cheeks, like her lips, are plump, pink and wet. The Mediterranean sun has mixed a deeper azure into her eyes. She has a harsh crease of concentration on her forehead, where a contemplative frown has squeezed out all the colour. She seems to be weighing up the possibilities of this encounter, but in a place that is private to her, where she cannot be overheard. I want to say that she looks thoughtful. force field of shyness. She's one of those special driven things, mostly unknowable but strangely responsive. The kind of object that watches you. Athena takes another step forward. Ideas flow by, but they now boomerang back to her as well, warmly familiar. Memory keeps them on strings. The mirror reflects the world. Big child, car, clothes horse hung with colourful towels. Blue sky, scented breeze. Each peach, pear plum, I spy.